Central Bank is currently reviewing the capital base of all banks in the country, aimed at increasing the lending capacity of the banks and ensuring that Nigeria's financial sector is strong and resilient. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olamide, has also disclosed that foreign investors are already moving funds into the country to invest in Nigeria's banks under the ongoing recapitalization exercise. Our antenna on Business Express today is on the recapitalization of the banks, and our guest is Victor Olamide Matthews of Norembega Investment, who joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us on Business Express, Mr. Olamide.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
All right. Now, the central bank regulation expects banks to raise about 4 million naira to consolidate their capital base. What do you make of the recapitalization policy generally?
In my view, I think this move by the Central Bank of Nigeria is a welcome development. As we all know, the last time this occurred was around 2010, 2011, when the capital base was meant to be around 50 for the largest tier of banks. However, over that same period of time, we all know after then a lot of issues have occurred in the financial market. So the financial market needs to be strengthened further in order to spur this growth within the economy as a general. We all know that even before that last time it happened in 2007, 2008, where we had the financial crisis. It spilled over to Nigeria, though it occurred majorly in the Western world. It spilled over to Nigeria, and because of that, I think that was the reason why that occurred at the first time. So banks need to develop a very strong base, a foundation for them to be able to withstand so much pressure from the other sectors of the economy, and when there is too much pressure coming somewhere. We all know in the US last year, a couple of years ago, they had where some banks had to go under, and it would be a very bad thing if Nigerian economy faces that kind of issue. In the US, we know about the Silicon Valley Bank, the First Republic Bank, the Signature Bank, and I think it's going to be a bad one on the Nigerian economy if the strength is not really felt within the financial sector. So I think it's a welcome development in the economy.
Yeah. Do you think that banking sector recapitalization can help achieve the $1 trillion economy for Nigeria by 2030?
No, of course. I think it's important. It's CBN, not even the CBN only, even the federal government itself sees the financial sector as the major backbone. Like, it's a major backbone in the sense that when the productive of the economy decide funds in order to take on innovations, inventions, they need funds. Not all of them have access to funds in order to do all these things. Not all of them have the funds to carry out the day-to-day activities. So they need to come to the financial sector to raise these funds in order for them to carry on these innovations. And if the financial sector is underdeveloped, then the whole economy in general is definitely going to feel the negative impacts of that. So I think we can achieve that $1 trillion economy when businesses, the productive sector, as I mentioned, can come and, get funds seamlessly from the financial sector. It's a welcome development.
Now, do you believe that reforming the banking sector as a whole can bring about economic prosperity for the country?
Yeah, it still alludes to the previous question you asked, as this reform is needed. As I mentioned earlier, that's the first question you asked me when I said the last time it occurred, or let me say the most relatable one was back in 2004 to 2006 during the financial consolidation period, where we had about 89 banks then, and it had to be dropped down to about 24, 25, 26 banks as at that time. And that period of time, we know that the sector as at that time, the financial sector as at that time needed a change. And right now, the value of the naira compared to the dollar as at that period, it has reduced. And so when you look at that thing, that capital base in dollar terms, it has reduced. And a lot of these banks, especially the top tier banks, have subsidiaries in outside the country. And when they don't have enough capital base to achieve or to protect their customer base within that area, it's definitely going to be a wild issue for them because they won't be able to protect themselves from failure if they don't have so much assets being backed by the equity, shareholder equity. It's going to be a very, very bad influence on them and probably can come back to the Nigerian economy to eat us bad. So sectoral growth, it can also help improve the agricultural sector, manufacturing sector, oil and gas sector, in terms of where if it's easy for them, to get those funds, as I mentioned earlier. So more or less, it's definitely a welcome development, and I think it's going to work well in a positive realm for the Nigerian economy.
What about the capital market? Can it make a significant impact on banks' recapitalization?
Yeah, of course, the capital market, I think, is actually the major way they can raise these funds. As you can see, I think we have about 25 banks right now, and only about 11 or 12 of them are listed on the Nigerian Exchange Group. So you see, other banks definitely need to take advantage of the capital markets in order for them to benefit from this. A lot of businesses or a lot of corporates have come to the market to raise funds. And you all know in 2019, NTN did that. They had no issues. The BUA Group, I think their foods and cements came in 2020 and 2022. And they did that seamlessly. Even Transpower recently did that. So I don't think the capital markets can't accommodate them. I think they can. They have enough potential to do that through private placements. They will do that if through rights issue. And I'm very sure you know recently about various banks who have adopted those measures to get this capital. They can also go through follow on listing, follow on public offering. That's an additional offering to the initial public offering. So I think the capital market can take it. It can definitely take it. It's not an issue for it at all.
Okay, still talking about the capital market, how well positioned is it to helping banks achieve the prescribed capital base?
Okay, yes, it's well positioned. Thanks for that question. It's well positioned. Um, we know about the NGX and the reforms they've been making recently in order to make it easy and seamless for them to get investors into the capital markets. Different technology being adopted to make sure that individuals can buy shares from the comfort of their homes and even from the tip of their fingers. So I don't think that would be a problem. They are well positioned, in my view. If they were not, then they wouldn't have been looking for ways to garner in more corporates to do that. Probably talking about the Dangote refinery trying to come into the market and even a lot more of other corporates. So the banking sector can do that through the capital markets. The capital market is well positioned. And come to think of it also, Nigeria's market capitalization to GDP, I think the latest figures was about 17.30%. I think there is still a lot of potential within that sector, within the capital market to go away. A lot of countries, especially when talking about the Western world and talking about the Southeast Asian countries, they are doing well above 100% market capitalization to GDP. So Nigeria definitely has no excuse not to go as high as that. I think the sky is the limit, talking as regards that.
Okay, aside the bank's recapitalization, what other policies are needed in the financial sector?
Okay, a lot is needed. Of course, we talk about having a well-developed and let's say a well-regulated banking financial system, a system where individuals don't just have to, do things the way they seem they were, and that speaks specifically to a lot of banks where there needs to be a lot of regulation in terms of the regulation in terms of tending to meet these frameworks by the CBN. These regulations have CBN. And in addition to that, also there has to be enough oversight from CBN and other regulatory bodies to make sure that this is being looked into. So the infrastructure also has to be there. They have to strengthen the infrastructure in the sense that a lot of individuals outside, even especially the rural dwellers, don't fully trust the financial system. Yeah, I speak to friends over time and over days to talk about how the financial system. Also, they prefer keeping their funds in cash and not trusting the system. I'm very sure you have friends like that too who may feel like they don't really trust the financial system or put their funds there. But I think when enough education and infrastructure to create transparency within the system is put in place, I think once we can develop that trust, then more funds will be able to come into the system, and as a result of that, spur economic growth, that's improved economic growth. So the oversight is a major thing. The oversight by the CBN, even other agencies like AMCON and the sort NDIC, they need to come together to make sure so it's a lot, but I think major oversight by the CBN at least also prevents bank failures. We know recently about the issue of Heritage Bank. I don't want to mention too much about that, but I think these issues will probably have been mitigated if they've been caught head on, if they've been nipped in the bud. So I think majorly the other issues, and to also encourage innovation in the sector. Also, I think the CBN has been doing a lot in order to reduce the strain of attracting this kind of fintech companies. We know a lot of fintech
All
companies that
right,
have been.
Mr. Olamide, before I let you go, beyond the
Okay.
financial sector, what more do we need in order to achieve the much needed $1 trillion economy?
Okay, so as I said, the CBN, the financial sector alone can't achieve it, right? It's just the backbone. Other parts are needed. So the agricultural sector, number one, has to be rejigged in the sense that about it employs about 54% of people of the labor force in Nigeria, and I think contributes a bit over 20%, which is I think it's a bit too high. So my view is it needs to be more mechanized. Agricultural sector needs to be more mechanized, and needs to we need to move a lot of labor force away from the agricultural sector to the other sectors where they can be more productive. Yeah. So when it's more mechanized, it's going to produce, you're going to be able to produce more. And in added to that too is value added. We need to create a lot of value added in terms of your production. About 97% of exports we have in Nigeria is in primary exports. There's in primary goods. They need to be value added. Industries need to be rejigged. They need to have more industrialization needs to take place within the sector. So this brings a lot into play as regards, and this definitely is going to bring a lot of foreign direct investment into the country. So majorly value added, and talking about agricultural sector is a welcome development if those areas can also be looked into, except for the financial sector.
Mr. Victor Olamide Matthews of Norenbega Investment. It was a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Yeah, my pleasure.
Great. Moving on,